Welcome to Rescue Paws Stories, your go-to place for heartwarming and emotional humans and animals stories. Every evening, as the last of the hospital visitors trickled out and the fluorescent lights flickered inside the ER, a small, scruffy puppy would arrive and curl up just outside the sliding glass doors of Mercy General Hospital. He was a golden brown mutt with sad, intelligent eyes and a limp in one leg. And though the staff noticed him often, no one quite knew where he came from or why he came at all. Nurses would sometimes leave scraps of food or a blanket, and the security guard, Mr. Alvin, nicknamed him Shadow, because like clockwork, he was always there as night fell, sleeping on the cold concrete under the neon glow. But one winter evening, when freezing rain had begun to fall, and the cold seeped into every crevice of the hospital grounds, a young pediatric surgeon named Dr. Elias Hart paused as he left through the main entrance. He spotted the dog shivering near the edge of the automatic doors, his body soaked, his eyes fixed on something unseen. Elias hesitated. Then, for reasons he couldn't quite explain, he knelt down beside the pup and said gently, "Why are you here every night, little one?" The dog slowly raised its head and looked into Elias's eyes, and in that gaze was something heartbreakingly human, something more than just hunger or shelter. Elias took the dog into the staff lounge for the night, against protocol, but something in his heart told him it was the right thing to do. The next morning, Elias spoke to Alvin, the security guard, and some of the night nurses. Together, they started piecing together details. Shadow had begun appearing a few months ago. About the same time, a young girl named Lily had passed away in the children's ward. She had been just 6 years old, fighting leukemia with a bravery that moved everyone who met her. Elias had been one of the doctors treating her. The realization hit him like a brick wall. Lily used to talk about her puppy, Charlie. She told the staff he was her best friend, that he'd wait for her if anything ever happened. No one paid much attention at the time. Many children talk about pets even when they don't have them. But suddenly, Elias remembered something else. On the night Lily passed away, she whispered, "Tell Charlie I'll always wait for him in the stars." Tears welled in Elias's eyes. He rushed to her file, then contacted Lily's grandmother. She confirmed it. Charlie was her dog. He had run away the day Lily died and hadn't returned home since. "We thought he was gone forever," she said through choked sobs on the phone. But he wasn't. He was waiting for her. With shaking hands, Elias went back to where the dog was sleeping that night, his body curled in a tight ball despite the cold. The doctor sank to his knees and whispered, "Charlie, you're Lily's, aren't you?" The dog lifted his head, then gently placed a paw on Elias's knee, as if he understood every word. That night, Elias couldn't stop crying. But that wasn't the end of the story. The hospital staff, deeply moved, built a small heated doghouse beside the hospital entrance with a plaque that read, "In memory of Lily and the love that waits." Charlie never left his post, but now he was fed, loved, and gently cared for by every soul who walked through those doors. And sometimes, on particularly quiet nights, people swore they saw Charlie wag his tail in his sleep, as if he were dreaming of a little girl running toward him, healthy, happy, arms wide open. Weeks passed, and Charlie, the loyal puppy who had once shivered alone in the dark, became more than just a fixture at the hospital. He became a symbol of love, hope, and the enduring bond between a child and her best friend. Patients began to notice him too, especially the children. They would press their faces to the windows to watch him sleeping peacefully or giggling when he'd perk up and wag his tail at passing nurses. For many, seeing Charlie became the highlight of their hospital stay. Dr. Elias, still deeply moved by Charlie's loyalty, started including him in his evening rounds. At first it was unofficial, just a quiet walk down the halls, greeting patients with a soft presence beside him. But something magical began to happen. Children who were too weak to smile before would light up when Charlie padded into their rooms. He'd gently rest his chin on their blankets or lick their hands, and for those few moments, fear and pain disappeared. News of the hospital dog with a story spread beyond Mercy General. Local news stations picked it up, and soon Charlie became something of a legend. Donations poured in, enough to build a proper shelter on hospital grounds and fund a therapy dog program in honor of Lily. They called it Lily's Light. Charlie was its first honorary member, but perhaps the most touching moment came one quiet spring evening. A little boy named Mateo had been admitted for a complex heart condition. He rarely spoke, traumatized by months of painful procedures. Elias tried everything, but one night he brought Charlie into Mateo's room. The boy stared at the dog for a long time, silent as always. Charlie didn't move either. He just looked back at the boy with those deep, understanding eyes. Then, slowly, Mateo reached out and whispered, "Doggy." It was the first word he'd said in weeks. From that night forward, Mateo began to improve, not just physically, but emotionally. Elias watched the transformation with awe. "He's not just a dog," he whispered one night to a nurse. "He's healing something in all of us." And though Charlie had found a new purpose, he never missed a single night outside the hospital doors. Even when he had a warm bed inside, he'd eventually wander out to his spot under the stars, waiting, watching, as if still keeping his promise to Lily. Because love doesn't end. It doesn't disappear when hearts stop beating. In Charlie's case, it slept on the pavement, under the night sky, waiting for a soul it could no longer see but never stopped feeling. And some nights, when the wind was just right and the moon was high, Elias swore he could hear two sets of paws playing in the silence, Charlie's and Lily's. Months turned into a year, and Charlie remained the soul of the hospital grounds. He was more than just a therapy dog now. He was family. Children recovering from surgeries drew pictures of him. Families made donations in his name, and the hospital staff found comfort in his quiet presence during their most exhausting shifts. But for Dr. Elias, Charlie was something even deeper, a bridge to healing not only for his patients, but for himself. You see, Elias had lost his own daughter years ago. Her name was Sophie. She had died suddenly from a rare illness, and Elias had buried his grief under work, always pushing forward but never truly healing. When Lily's story unfolded, something in him cracked open. Charlie didn't just bring joy, he brought memories. And strangely, it no longer hurt to remember. It felt warm, like a hand reaching across time to remind him of love that never truly leaves. One day, a letter arrived at the hospital. It was from Lily's mother. She had seen the news stories, the footage of Charlie comforting sick children, the articles calling him a hero. In trembling handwriting, she wrote, "Thank you for keeping a part of Lily alive. She would have wanted that." She always said, if she had to go, she wanted Charlie to find someone else to love. Watching him with the children, I know she's smiling. Thank you for giving him a home. And thank you for giving my daughter's heart a way to keep be. Tears streamed down Elias's face as he read the letter aloud to the staff. No one spoke for a moment. Then a soft sound broke the silence, Charlie's tail wagging as if he understood. On the anniversary of Lily's passing, the hospital held a small ceremony. They unveiled a statue in the garden. A little girl sitting cross-legged with her arms around a dog, Lily and Charlie. It was titled Unspoken Love. Charlie sat beside the statue that day, quiet and still, like he understood the gravity of the moment. Flowers surrounded him. Children placed drawings at the statue's feet, and the town, once shocked by a puppy's nightly vigil, now wept tears of pride and gratitude. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the hospital's lawn, Elias sat beside Charlie, hand resting gently on his back. "We never really lose them, do we?" he whispered. Charlie didn't answer. He didn't need to. His presence was the answer. Because love like that doesn't fade. It echoes in wagging tails, in laughter through tears, in the quiet heartbeat of a dog who chose to wait, and in the lives he touched, one gentle moment at a time. Years passed, but Charlie remained a beloved figure, not only at the hospital, but across the entire region. Visitors came from towns far away just to meet him, to sit with him beneath the statue of Lily, and to leave behind a drawing, a flower, or a simple thank you note. News outlets picked up the story again, calling it the dog who waited for love and gave it back to the world. As Charlie aged, his muzzle turned grey and his steps grew slower. The staff made accommodations, soft blankets in every corridor, warm coats in the winter, and checkups from the best veterinarians. Dr. Elias, now nearing retirement, stayed by his side more and more. He would often sit with Charlie by the statue and speak aloud, sometimes about Lily, sometimes about his daughter Sophie, and sometimes about nothing at all, just the passing of time and the peace that follows healing. On a quiet spring morning, with cherry blossoms beginning to bloom outside the hospital garden, Charlie lay beside the statue one last time. He didn't move much that day, just rested his head against the stone base carved with the name Lily. Nurses and children sat with him in shifts. Dr. Elias came at sunset, holding Charlie's favorite blanket. He knelt beside him and whispered, "You waited long enough, buddy. You brought us all together. It's okay now. You can rest." Charlie's breathing slowed, then stilled as the sun cast golden rays through the trees. A gentle breeze carried a feeling of calm through the hospital grounds, and as if by some divine signal, petals began to fall softly around them, pink, white, and trembling with grace. The hospital held a candlelight vigil that night. Families came with children whose lives Charlie had touched. Doctors, nurses, and patients all stood in silence around the statue, candles flickering in their hands. And Dr. Elias, with a shaky but clear voice, said, "Charlie wasn't just a dog. He was love in its purest form, patient, kind, unwavering. He reminded us all what it means to care." They buried him beneath the statue in the garden where he spent most of his life healing others. The plaque now read, "Charlie, the dog who waited, the heart that healed." Years later, children still visited that garden. They sat beside the statue and read their favorite stories. Some brought sick puppies, others just came to feel peace. Charlie became a symbol, not of grief, but of the kind of love that finds you when you're lost and stays with you forever. And in that quiet garden, beneath the watchful eyes of stone and memory, a legend lived on, not in barks or wagging tails, but in every act of kindness that began with a simple dog who refused to leave, because his heart knew where it belonged.